ownership of it. It's like, I'm just going to pay for you to get an accepted account. Instead
Oh,
of making
wow.
excuses, instead of trying to figure out a way to just pass the buck along somewhere else, he just took ownership of that. Like, that's the kind of guy he is. So I mean, why wouldn't I want to follow him?
My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is The Closing Table, where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. Welcome to The Closing Table. I am your host, Kevin C. McIntosh, and joining us on this episode, ready to share his knowledge, we want to welcome Adam Pendle. What's going on, Adam?
Hey, Kevin, thanks for having me on today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming, man, sharing that knowledge. That's what we're here for. But we are starting things off a little bit more casual than that with an icebreaker called This or That. I got some words and phrases related to real estate. They're pretty much contradicting to each other, but I want you to choose one based off whatever merits, qualifications, rules, whatever the case may be. And if you want, you can tell us why you chose it. You ready?
I'm ready. Bring it on.
All right, let's go. First one, curb appeal or interior appeal?
Ooh, I'd say interior, because that's what's going to ultimately make the decision for a buyer. You know, I mean, curb appeal can change, but they're going to be living inside. So I'd say inside.
All right. Turnkey property or fixer-upper?
Ooh. Oh, man. Well, turnkey is always better when you're going to sell it, but if I'm buying it, I'd love a fixer-upper. I'm ready to buy another one.
Interesting. Active income or passive income?
You know the answer to that. Passive all the way.
Yeah. I kind of figured that. When I looked at it, I was like, why did I put that there? It is what it is. Single family or multifamily?
Ooh, man. You know, I could go either way on this one. I'd say single just because that's what I'm in most of the time.
Okay.
Multifamilies are great. Don't get me wrong. I love helping sellers through those, buyers through those. I love buying those, but I'm more with the single families on the day-to-day, so I'd pick.
Last one, a long-term rental or a short-term rental like an Airbnb? Is that Airbnb?
Airbnb.
Oh, is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah.
I'm joking, I know.
I was gonna say,
long term or short term? I'm messing with you. I'm real childish, man. You have to get used to that through this episode.
I love it. Definitely long term. That's what I have from my. I have a couple rentals personally. I just prefer that. It's one and done, and you got little issues here and there, but you don't have to worry about getting new tenants all the time.
That's real. All right, nice. Yeah, well, thank you for having fun with me, Adam, starting things off. Now let's put our serious face on. And I want you to take some time, 60 seconds or less, if you can tell us, who is Adam Pendle outside of real estate?
Ooh, outside of real estate. I didn't know I was supposed to answer it that way. So first and foremost, I'm a Christian. I do my best to glorify God in all I do. I'm a father, I guess I'm a husband, been married for 10, almost 11 years. And then a father,
nice. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I have 4 kids, ranging from almost 11 to a 1-year-old. Just kind of loving life. Live on a farm. Love being outside.
Okay.
Yeah, it's life.
Nice. Love to hear that. Love to hear about a family man and a father and husband and whatnot. So can we get into your market that you're currently serving right now for the sake of our audience? Can you describe the current market that you serve geographically for the location first, and then get into a little bit of the economics, what's going on with the real estate?
Yeah. So my home base is South Bend, Indiana. I service about an hour radius of that. So Notre Dame's right in South Bend. I'm about 10, 15 minutes away from Notre Dame. So that pulls in a lot of people. And Elkhart County, which is just to our east, is like the RV capital of the world. So there's a lot of industry happening there. We got Lake Michigan about 45 minutes away, which is a cool thing to hang out by. um, yeah, I mean, our market's been strong. It's been a strong seller's market. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much the same song that we're hearing across the country. You know, we have agents from different markets all across the country on the closing table. And I mean, for months we've been hearing the same thing about the shortage in the inventory. It's being a seller's market, interest rates having some type of effect on buyers and consumers nowadays. And I'm assuming it's all the same in your market too, correct?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about previous occupations that you've held prior to being a real estate agent and how they may have helped you or given you an advantage as a real estate agent now.
Yeah. So I'll go way back. So got my first car when I was 16, and my parents were like, "You need a job." So I
Right?
didn't. Every kid should have to go get a job. So I didn't want to just go work at like a grocery store or restaurant or something like that. So my mom helped me make a flyer, and I just went door to door in our area, and I just was like, "Hey, anyone need any yard work done over the summer?" Going
Mm.
on. So it started with that. Got married young, so got married when I was 20. My wife was 18 while I was in the midst of college, and so I
Mhm.
then we got pregnant with her first. So I thought, you know what, I need to really get a job that can complement me finishing up school. So I got an internship at a printing and marketing company as an outside sales rep for them. So learned how to communicate with people, all those kind of pieces, and I really loved getting to meet new people and not being just stuck in an office all the time. So
Mhm.
I knew I wanted to do sales, but that's a hard industry to be in.
Yeah.
My dad's been a real estate agent for 35 years, so I thought, you know what, I'll just team up with him and
Okay.
see how this plays out. So I've been an agent for, oh man, it'll be almost 9 years now. Yeah,
Congrats. Congrats. Longevity right there.
yeah, there we go.
So you've had the real estate profession in your lineage. So it's not like it was too far off from, from what you were doing or from what you're familiar with, I should say.
Right.
Well, that's nice. Does your father still practice? Is he still in the business now?
Still is. He's spending a lot of time on his tractor these days, but yeah, he's still full
Mm,
time selling, and he does a great job.
nice, nice, nice. Can you tell us a moment? Um, Pretty much. I was gonna say when you initially decided to be a real estate agent, but more so, can you talk about some of the things that you learned from your father that
Hmm.
may have influenced you a little bit more to make that decision?
Oof, that's a loaded question. So my dad's been,
Curveball.
yeah, I love it. My dad's been like that guy. I remember in high school, a girl in my class, I was sitting by class, and she said, "Don't you think he'd be such a great dad, our teacher?" And I remember looking at her and being like, "Nah, I got the best dad there is." And this is like,
Oh,
I'm a
look at
high
that.
school kid. It's not like I'm an elementary kid. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's how I felt even then when I was older. Like my dad's just, I mean, when I look at him, I think of a man who pretty much does the right thing all the time. I mean, he's had instances where he missed a deadline on in our county. You have to have a septic inspection required. He missed a deadline on when a septic needed or when an inspection response was due, and that house needed a new septic. So he just straight up just took ownership of it. It's like I'm just going to pay for you to get a new septic in instead
Oh
of making
wow.
excuses, instead of trying to figure out a way to just pass the buck along somewhere else. He just took ownership of that. Like that's the kind of guy he is. So I just, I mean, why wouldn't I want to follow him?
Yeah, I can see that right there. That explains it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to follow that trail? A man who shows integrity, honor, and respects people that he works with. I mean, that being your father, why wouldn't you want to be like that? So I get it, man. I get it. You have any stories that you can share of a relationship that you've built with a client? Maybe you helped them get their home, but now they've been in their home for a year or so, and now you're going to their kids' parties and things of that nature. You've been to their wedding. Any stories of that nature?
who, um, not that, not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like I get to see my clients a lot and interact with them. In particular, like clients from church, things like that. Like I've built a lot of deep friendships through that, but in particular, like a wedding or birthday parties, not really, but still have awesome interactions with them. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of like birthday parties are important, but I got 4 kids here. If I don't have enough time with them, so
I get it. I get it. I get it.
it's like
Hey,
I'd struggle to peel away from them when I'm working as much as I am to go to a birthday party. Just being honest.
I
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. But overall, the point was just to pretty much establish that you do create relationships with your clients. It's not to the point to where you close in their homes and then you
Don't see
lose
the same.
communication with them.
Yeah.
You're still maintaining those relationships and things of that nature.
Yeah. I mean, I got some really great friends that relationships kind of started through a real
Hmm.
estate transaction. So that's been a huge blessing of it. And like I said, I love meeting new people and hearing their stories, and I'm never really like bored in this vocation,
Mm,
which is a wonderful thing, you know. I mean, I think that's important. So yeah.
I get it. I get it. Can we talk about? I got another question that just came up. Can you talk about when you closed on your first home, your first transaction, and how different that was, and the different things that you know now from closing on your most recent transaction? What were the main differences between the two?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I mean, I probably had my hand held that whole first transaction. Like,
I bet.
I mean, I remember when I first started, I was on the phone probably every hour with my dad asking questions, and that really helped my learning curve kind of be pretty quick. Um,
hmm
and then now it's just we have systems in place. We know what we need to do, and it just kind of gets done. So you don't have to think as you think, but it's not like you don't have to think as much, right? Like
Mm,
it's already ingrained in your head all the things you need to do, and it
right.
just happens. Versus like, all right, what do I do with this? What does this mean in the purchase agreement? And that doesn't really happen anymore. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I imagine all the transactions that you've had in between, then you've experienced smooth transactions and you probably experienced the worst from all angles, from the inspection to appraisal to closing and negotiating and things of that nature. And that puts you in a position to know how to deal with those later on down the line.
Sure.
So I love to hear stories about that. Do you have any stories of obtaining a client through a non-traditional way? For an example, maybe you just out with the kids or something like that, and you wear like a shirt with your brand, and that becomes a client, and you actually close on their loan. Any random stories like that?
Um, I'm sure they've happened. I mean, I feel like I have more like intentional stories
Okay,
that
come on.
have like progressed much more than I thought they would be. So
Mm,
um, there was what was it last year? I had a client who wanted a luxury home in this specific neighborhood. So I knew they wanted a ranch in this neighborhood. So I went and I
mhm,
door knocked that neighborhood and I sent out a postcard. I door knocked on 13 doors. From
mm,
that set of door knocks and one round of postcard, it led to 3 different listings. Our average sales price here is like 225 ish, and
okay.
2 of those listings were in the 800s and one was in the 600s, just from
Whew.
an hour of door knocking and a set of postcards. So I mean, I random stuff's gonna happen, right? But
Yeah.
I think the key is be intentional, and then it's
Mm.
much more lucky. My grandpa used to say, "I'm a great believer in luck because the harder I work, the luckier I am." That's how
Talk
we went.
about it.
Yeah,
More than anything, as long as you do the work, what's meant for you is going to come to you. So, you stay focused, put your head down, do that work, man. It'll come to your hands easily,
yeah, for
if you
sure.
ask me. So as a real estate agent, I know you have to deal with other agents. And what I recently found out is when you're dealing with an agent across from the closing table, that's called co-op, your co-op agent, correct?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, even then, you're dealing with a different personality,
Right.
different egos. Do you have any experiences with dealing with an agent where you two kind of bumped heads throughout the process, but it got ironed out for closing?
Oh yeah. So I remember rewinding back what my dad used to tell me. Remember who you're representing, right? So you're
Hmm.
representing your buyer or your seller. So yeah, you want to get along with this other agent, but don't ever forget who you're representing, right? So I remember an instance where my seller is doing all the things we need to be doing. Buyers having their inspections, and buyer's agent like straight up missed the inspection response deadline. So, and the septic had issues. So
Oh
this other
man.
agent's like, hey, we want your seller to take care of these things. And this was like days after the fact. And so I remember calling my seller and saying, hey, how do you want to play this? Right? We can just be smooth about this and work on fixing this issue with them, or per what the purchase agreement says, they're buying it
Hmm.
as is, and they'll be out. And they had a huge earnest money sum because there was multiple offers. They'll be out. I think it was like 10 grand or something.
Ooh.
$200,000 house. So
Man.
my seller's like, yeah, I'm not going to take care of this. They missed their deadline. I'll get an attorney if I need to. So like I knew at that point I got to represent my seller. So I went to bat for him, and so this other agent's all pissed off, and it's like, listen, you do your job. We want to have this
Yep.
problem.
Hmm.
Ended up closing the deal, which was great, and my seller didn't have to make any repairs, which was great.
Wow. So they still bought it as is.
So bought it. Yep.
Oh man. Oh man. Wow. How did that agent convince that buyer to go with that without an inspection?
Well, they had their inspections and they knew there were issues, but they
Oh,
didn't respond in time.
oh,
So
gotcha,
they knew
gotcha.
there were issues. They
Whew,
couldn't
that's still
respond.
crazy. You could have at least had it worked out where you would have went half or something, but completely missed that boat. Oh man.
So
It's unfortunate though. Let me stop laughing. I'm sorry. All right. So Adam, what I like to hear is everyone has their different routines, their different methods of doing things going throughout the day. I
sure.
want you to walk us through a day in the life of Adam Pendle, whether that day consists of closings, showings, whatever the case may be. Let's take your most recent work day.
Yeah.
Walk us through the beginning to the end of that day.
Whew. So um, usually up at 5, and there's the kids. I told you they were probably going to come. Um,
Right on clock.
Yeah, there we go. So usually up at 5, start by spending time with the Lord, praying, reading my Bible, kind of getting my head where it needs to be, and then
Hmm.
that next kind of time block is time spent analyzing, whether it's my business or running an analysis for sellers. Like that's usually
Mm,
my timeline to my thinking time frame. Then I'll eat breakfast.
okay.
Then I'll start going through emails. Usually about 9 o'clock, I'll go to the gym and work out. And then
Mm,
when I get back, that's usually my call time. So from 11 to 1 o'clock or 12:30, I'm following up with clients. Trying to drum up new business, and then have lunch, and then of course get ready, and then the rest of the day is usually appointments. So I try to do all my closings in the afternoon, showings, things like that, so I can have
mm.
that morning to get done things that really need to get done.
And you know what's crazy? I know, like I stated before, everyone's day is different, everyone's method process is different. But one thing I have heard that is similar is a lot of people leave that afternoon, evening open for showings,
Mhm.
and I'm starting to realize that more is because your clients more than likely is getting off work at that 4, 5, 6 o'clock
Yeah,
time, and right after they get off work, they're like, "All right, let's go see this house now."
right.
So
This time of year, that's so heavy. Like it's like
yeah,
almost every evening I'm gone. So
hmm,
I've mentioned my family's so important to me. So I've in the summer I take a half day every Thursday, and I'm just with the family. So like yesterday, we went
nice.
to a lake up in Michigan for half the day just to be together, reconnect. So I've
I
learned that's
love
pretty
that,
important.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that, man. I love to hear that. I was just talking about time management, and this was so funny because an agent was explaining how, I have this strict time block, this time schedule to manage my time. But he says I leave at least 2 hours throughout certain days or throughout the day for the miscellaneous BS, if I can say that.
Mm.
Like just the random things, the random curveballs that life will throw you. And I've never heard of that because I go by a certain time schedule in my life too. And I try to do things at a certain time for a certain period, but then it's like, oh, okay, here comes my son. He needs attention. Or here comes my girlfriend. We need to do something, or I got to do something for the house. It's like you kind of have to adjust for these certain curveballs and these certain things that can happen, or even just specific time for your family. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? So the fact that you take that half day, I love to hear stuff like that, man.
So important. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not fair to my wife for me to be gone all day, every day, you know? So,
What's like the latest time that you're out on average with showings? Do you have a cutoff time? I'm not going out past 9 or
no. I mean, the latest deal I've ever got put together, I think it was 1:30 a.m. or 2 a.m.
oh my. Okay.
I mean, that's happened like twice where it's that late.
Okay.
But
That's not bad there.
yeah, I mean, it depends. Some weeks I'm gone till the kids are already in bed, you know, and then other weeks
Mm,
I'm home for dinner a couple times. So it's hard to say.
mm. Okay. Do you have any random crazy stories of properties that you've went in and it's just like some crazy amenities inside, or it's just like a crazy structure? Any memorable properties that you've been inside?
Oh yeah, they're the worst home I was ever in. Okay, so thank the Lord this home was then torn down. But I opened the door and all over the living room floor there was like 5 dead raccoons. We're like, what is
Oh,
happening? So we just
why
turned
did I
around.
ask?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So
Whoa.
yeah, that was probably the worst house I've ever been in.
So was it abandoned, or was it people actually living there?
No,
Oh.
no, yeah, that would have been real
Oh.
bad if someone was living in
S
that.
s so what happened when I'm assuming you walked in with clients and then you saw that? I'm assuming you immediately walked out. What happened with that?
Yeah, we
Oh, okay.
walked right past it. I mean, we probably took 3 steps in. We're like, no, no, this
What?
happening here.
Did you know it was abandoned before you went in there?
Yeah, but I had no idea
Really?
there was dead raccoons all over the place.
No, I get it. I get it. So when you're looking at a property or you're scouting or whatever the case may be, I'm let's say you're looking on the MLS. Does it as a section there that says this is an abandoned property or something like that? How do you know
If
that in
if
advance?
it's like that, if it's that bad, they'll probably have some kind of note on there. But it's not
Mm,
standard that if a home's empty, that it's marketed or described as empty. Um,
really?
yeah, just I mean,
You would
from a
think.
liability standpoint, you probably don't want that too, because I mean, if I have an empty home I'm selling and I live in Florida, I don't want everyone to know that no one's living in
Uh,
that home. You know, you don't want
good
them to
point.
break in, things like that. But
Good point. Good point. Okay.
yeah,
Let's take this time to reflect, Adam. Look back on your journey, your career. What key lessons have you learned about yourself, the industry, and the importance of serving others?
whew, man. Well, when I look at my career, I was just on a Zoom call about an hour ago with newer agents, um,
Hmm.
and when I look back on like what are the things that helped me kind of get me to the point where I am today, I
Hmm.
think of a couple factors. So first, my dad, right? I mean, he played a huge role in that, no doubt about it.
Shout out to Pops.
Yep, he's the man. Secondly, I would say 3 words that my mentor used to tell me all the time was
Mm,
attitude, plan, work. So being a real estate agent, you really have your own business. Some agents don't
right.
look at it that way, right? But
Hmm.
you're running your own business. If you don't have the right attitude with that, your clients are going to feel that in the conversations you have with them. Other
Right.
agents are going to feel that, right? And that's going to flow into your family life too. If you don't have the right plan, it's going to be really hard for you to actually grow your business. And then if you don't work that plan, obviously the plan's useless. But you need the plan in order for the work to really take place. So those
Mm,
3 words, I'm reminded of them often. and they help kind of guide my week. So if I'm having a day where it's like, man, I just feel like I'm not making any traction, I'm just dealing with all these problems, and I'll take a step back and I'll think through those three things. All right, where's my attitude at? All right, what's my plan for the remainder of the day here? And then you just dive into it. Right, those three words have played a big role in my business. So
nice. That pretty much answered my follow-up question in a way, which was, how do you feel like those experiences kind of reshaped or changed your perspective on your future goals and aspirations? But it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, you just really just evaluate those goals based on APW, attitude, plan, and work.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, but I think it's also important to have a longer plan, right? So going through those three words on a daily basis is really important, but then having like I know exactly what my 5-year plan is.
Bigger picture.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was a 7-year plan when I started. I have 4 more years left in it, and I know where things are going to be at.
I love that, man.
I need X number of rentals. I know I need to sell X number of houses to give me the kind of commission I need to be able to buy these rentals, and then that's going to position me in a way, Lord willing, where I have passive income where I don't have to work, right? And I still will work, I'm sure, but I won't have to.
I get it.
I don't think it's healthy for people just not to work all day. But it's going to, Lord willing, position my family in a way where like we have that financial freedom. And I think it's important to plan ahead and be smart and dive into resources to help you figure out, all right, well, what's my plan going to be? And then you work backwards from that plan to figure out what you need to do every day. And then that factors into part of your attitude plan work for the day,
Right.
So
I like that, Adam. I might have to look into that. APW, attitude plan work. I might have to implement that. Love it, man. Hey, so thank you first and foremost, pulling up a chair to the closing table, sharing all of that knowledge, your experience, and stories. We appreciate it. Right now, if you have any last words, you want to get a message off to our audience and or want to tell the people how to reach out to you, please do so now.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to help. If anyone's thinking of moving to St. Joseph County area or any referrals, I would love to be a resource for people there. What I'd encourage other agents is get that attitude in check, get that plan in check, and then go work. I mean, it's not that hard. You just got to do it. That'd be my biggest advice for especially newer agents who are wondering, well, what do I do? It doesn't even matter exactly what that work is. Just get your plan and then start working it, because you're going to figure it out as you go. That action will get you to the place where you can learn what type of work yields the best dollar per hour or whatever. That's what I'd say.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Adam, for pulling up a chair once again. We appreciate you, and thank you taking time out your very busy schedule. For our YouTube audience watching right now, this is your chance to do us both a favor and hit the like button, please and thank you. Make sure you also share the content and subscribe to our channel. And if you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platforms, please do the same. Give us a like, a 5-star rating, and subscribe to our channel for the latest content. And Adam, I'm always going to leave our audience with a question so they can think on their way out the door. This is for our audience who are fellow agents. Without saying any names, what reason did you decide you cannot work with another specific agent? Don't say it right now. Leave it in the comments below. Besides that, we'll talk to you next time.